Alrighty, lads. Fights have been announced. Per usual, I'm late. But without further ado, let's get into some of the fights that have been announced. Some of the confirmed fights. These are all confirmed to my knowledge. So I'm just gonna give an early breakdown. I'm doing this just because fight matchups are some of my favorite things to look at. Once I hear a fight, I instantly get an erection type shit. You know what I mean? That's the vibes I'm going with. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with these. But yeah, anyways, without further ado, let's get into the breakdown. Justin Gaethje versus Dan the Hangman Hooker has been set in stone. I am excited for this fight. I think this could warrant fight of the year. Justin Gaethje, always a tough son of a gun while he's in there. Yes, he did get put out by Max Holloway in the final second. Not millisecond, actual final second. Maybe millisecond, to be honest with you. Known for his dog potential, right? Head kick KO Dustin Poirier at Salt Lake City, like a Chad. Beat Rafael Fiziev, some people say, because of that last fucking takedown. I'll just be honest with you, I think Gaethje won it. I picked Fiziev. I still think Gaethje won it. However, I do think it's kind of just like there's an argument where Fiziev wins. I'm still leaning on the good Justin Gaethje side, even though I didn't pick him. Right, so I have a bias. I'm going to openly say that. But Justin Gaethje is set to fight Dan Hooker. Justin Gaethje is also coming off a KO. I think this is why it's been a little bit. It's been pretty close to a year now, actually, right? Yeah, April. Actually, yeah, it's pretty close to a year. When is this set? March? Yeah, pretty close to a year since his last fight, and I completely understand why. Apparently, he was also going through a lot of mental struggles at the time. I think he was seen completely drunk at a UFC event around the time, so like within a few weeks of this. And they had to kind of haul him out. I don't like seeing that, as a fighter. But yeah, I do like Justin Gaethje. I think he's fun. He always makes it fun, even though he's not the greatest of fighters. I think his ability is like a dogfight, and then he's able to really start landing. He lands big. I know some people are going to say, like, oh, he's not really finishing people. He can still land good shots. He caused 2 cuts above Fiziev's eyes. He was able to knock out Dustin Poirier by a head kick. He's got really good leg kicks. He knocked down Max Holloway, and I think the first ever recorded knockdown in Max Holloway's career. Or maybe they actually didn't record it because they should have. I think that was the whole thing. Like, Max Holloway was even like, yeah, you knocked me down. You hit me with a good one. He got submitted by Charles Oliveira and Khabib. It happens, Whoop Chandler's ass, though. Get fucked, but I don't even know. That's just hate for no reason. I just straight on dogged on Chandler for no reason. Anyways, going against my boy, Dan the Hangman Hooker. Now, why am I calling him my boy? Well, I picked him in his last 2 fights. I picked him against Jalen Turner, because Jalen Turner sucks cock, and he broke him in the 3rd. I picked him against Gamrot. Yes, I did. I have it recorded that I picked it on Gamrot whenever that event was. So you can go back and check it. And I said it exactly how he would do it. He was going to out-scramble the takedowns, get to his feet, and out-strike Gamrot. And especially because Gamrot said he wanted to strike with Dan Hooker. You don't want to strike with Dan Hooker and rely on your striking to beat Dan Hooker. And that's why I think Dan Hooker beats Justin Gaethje. Initial impression, it is close. I do like both of these fighters. I love Dan the Hangman Hooker. I think he's got a real chance at a rematch against Islam. Just saying, guys. But this is another former 145er, so maybe let's not do that, or do it so we can just dog on Islam's legacy, saying he's only beat former featherweights. Renato Moicano included in that former featherweights. So, he still only beat little guys. Come on, guys. Is he really the GOAT? No, he is obviously pound for pound number 1. But I did pick him against Gamrot. I did. And he beat Gamrot exactly how I thought he was going to beat Gamrot. I do think Dan Hooker is going to run into some problems with Justin Gaethje if he wants to stay in the pocket. Dan Hooker does take damage. Justin Gaethje also takes damage. Now, a lot of people are looking at this KO, and I've seen already some people say, he's been KO'd, he's coming off a KO. I think that does a lot when you're in the cage and everything. I think with Justin Gaethje, it's almost the opposite effect, I think Justin Gaethje is more willing to go for a finish, knowing that he's been knocked out in his last fight. I think that's why he had such a good comeback against Fiziev, because he knew he got choked out, and you know how he did well against Dustin Poirier, stuff like that, right? In the rematch, of course, right? But I do think Dan Hooker, if he wants to win this fight, he needs to use his sort of genetic advantages here, you know? I do think he needs to stay at range. I do think he needs to kick a little bit more. I think he needs to wear down Justin Gaethje, because people forget, man, Justin Gaethje also had his nose broke in round 1, and if it wasn't broke, it was severely damaged, let me tell you. So, against Max Holloway is what I'm referring to. So that, I could imagine, affected his cardio going into the next rounds, and makes sense why Max Holloway was able to put a pace on Justin Gaethje for the rest of the rounds, even though Gaethje arguably won 1 or 2 of those rounds. Dan Hooker, though, he's coming off these close split decisions. I think this is time for Dan Hooker to get a unanimous decision against Justin Gaethje. I think it'll be a clean 4-1. You know, I think Hooker's going to be up pretty much everywhere, and I think he's going to be down to just slug it out with Gaethje. And I think both of these guys are going to be down to do it. But Dan Hooker, younger fighter, arguably more battle-torn. Maybe not, now that I think about it. You know, because you had Tony Ferguson. You know, you had the Edson Barbosa one. You know, where it was like an early KO, so that's not really a war, right? But Dustin Poirier, you know, Eddie Alvarez, you know, the Michael Johnson one, you know. So there's a lot of wars that he's been to. I think Dan Hooker is the guy to, like, survive the war. He always survives the war, you know? And I think Gaethje doesn't do enough to really be ahead in rounds, you know? I think the key reason why I give Gaethje the win over Fiziev is mainly because of those cuts. I think the striking was very close, but I think Gaethje did more damage, right? The cuts is what I'm referring to. I think Hooker isn't really going to get cut as often as Gaethje, and I think Hooker's going to be one causing the damage, you know? Hooker's been getting pretty tricky on the feet, and I've been liking it when I see it against Gamrot, you know? I'm seeing knees up the middle, I'm seeing fucking, you know, right after, you know, fucking dodge a strike, you know, fucking, what is it called? It's not dodge, what is it? Fucking, I'm forgetting my terminology with fighting because it's late at night for me right now. Fucking duck under, boom, you know, ripping to the body, getting them headshots. Mainly going for the head, which I think will be the key here. I think the legs and the head are where Gaethje's weakest. We have seen Hooker not deal with leg kicks, though, before. That's my worry with this fight, and that's why I might switch. But I do love this fight. I love this idea. I've been talking about this fight for a while. I'll move on to the next one very soon. But my official pick is Dan Hooker 4-1. Against Justin Gaethje, unless this is a 3-round fight. Is this a 3-round fight or the main event? T-Mobile, Arena. I don't know if this is 313. No, this is like a fight card. Yeah, what's 313 looking like? Pereira Ankalaev. Right. It's the co-main, eh? Interesting. Yeah, I think it's good. I think Dan Hooker wins. I'm going with Dan Hooker for 4-1, 3-2 decision. I think they're both tough. I think they're both finishing power as possible. You know, but I think Dan Hooker's going to survive, and I think he's going to be ahead. Because I think he knows how to get ahead now. You know, I think he's game. Moving on to the next fight, which is Leon Edwards versus Jack Della Maddalena. Now, if you didn't watch, I had a video of some of the hot takes I had going into this year, and one of them was, I think Leon Edwards is going to win his next fight, as long as it's not a dangerous matchup like JDM. Lo and behold, next matchup's JDM, guys. Oh, fuck. Goddamn, was I ever wrong about that one, huh? Unironically, though, sorry, little sip real quick. Unironically, though, I think Leon Edwards got a good chance. I'm not gonna lie. Leon Edwards has been showcasing that he will offensively grapple when his brain's there. His last fight, in my opinion, personally, you can say I'm coping, you can say I'm delusional, I don't care. I don't think his head was there. It was 6 a.m. UK time. Even though he had a sleep coach and all this other shit, I think he was just He didn't get used to it. You know, he wasn't used to the training times. He wasn't used to the hours. He looked off. He was doing the same things, getting caught doing the same things. Wasn't able to get finished. It literally looked like he was falling asleep in the last round. I know some people say that's just what Leon Edwards looks like. Doesn't really look like that in any of his wins, except for the Salt Lake City fight. The last fight he was at was not Salt Lake City. It was London. So I think it was just him being off. I'll be honest with you. I see a world where Leon Edwards genuinely, call me delusional, lays on JDM. Gets his back, stays on the back, threatens a choke, gets some damage off from top while he's mounted. You know, I see a world where Leon wins this. You know, I know he's chinny. I know he doesn't have a great chin. I know JDM is coming off that crazy KO against Gilbert Burns. People forget, man. He was getting absolutely fucking laid on for 2 rounds until he got that comeback knee. Right when Gilbert Burns was shooting a takedown. I don't think Leon Edwards is going to shoot as sloppy of a takedown. I think his team is going to work with Leon Edwards and be like, yo, this guy's weakness is fucking grappling. That's kind of always been JDM's like weakness. Even Basil Hafez. Basil Hafez was, you know, out-grappling the fuck out of JDM. The Kevin Holland fight, he was almost robbed. That's actually crazy to think about. But all in all, I think you can genuinely out-grapple JDM. And I'm going to keep it real. I think there's a world where Leon Edwards wins a... is this a main event? It's a main event, isn't it? Yeah. Right? Yeah, this is a main event. This got to be a main event. So I think it's probably going to end up being like a 2-2 going into the 5th situation. And I think Leon Edwards is going to blow Muhammad his way to a decision victory, 3-2. Only because JDM, while his striking is elite, he is very exploitable in the grappling. Very exploitable. Takedown defense isn't that crazy, you know? And if Basil Hafez is able to keep you down, I know Leon Edwards isn't this crazy grappler, but he's taken down Kamaru Usman when others couldn't. He's taken down fucking Colby Covington. I know it's like washed Colby and it's a washed Kamaru. I get that. Kamaru fake legacy. I get that, right? But it's still like he can showcase he will offensively grapple. Even if it's awkward, it's not really the time to be grappling, he will do it. And I think that's his way to beat JDM. I could see Leon Edwards getting this win. And while I do think Leon Edwards has potential to get this win, I'm going to go with JDM. I think JDM can just get a KO. I can so see Leon Edwards getting a 2-2 going into the 5th type situation, even on the scorecards. If everyone else isn't believing it, I can see it on the scorecards, you know. But I do think JDM, his striking is just elite to where he's going to get the knockout. If Leon Edwards isn't shooting a takedown, I think he just does get knocked out. No way you survive 5 rounds on the feet with JDM. I don't think anyone in the division survives 5 rounds with JDM just on the feet. Anyways, moving on. We have the final fight. Asu Almabayev versus Steve Erceg. But I do enjoy these fighters. A lot of people don't like flyweights. I love flyweights, man. I think flyweight's a great division. I'm always excited for the fight. Steve Erceg coming out of knockout loss to Kai Kara-France after beating Pantoja somehow. Asu Almabayev going on a tear throughout the whole division. He does have losses, right? Yeah, I'm staring right at it. In his early career, right? Yeah. Wow, Tagir, eh? Wow. Interesting. Now, while I do think Steve Erceg is a great striker, I think Asu Almabayev is a great wrestler. A great grappler, actually, not just wrestler. He does make mistakes. There are times where he kind of gets, like, not exposed, but, like, it's like, ugh, do you really give him the win there? You know? Like, did he really win that round? I think that happens a lot with Asu Almabayev, but I think he's good enough to keep his win streak going. And I think he does beat Steve Erceg. I think he'll win a decision here. I don't think Erceg is going to get knocked out. I think Erceg just makes wrong decisions. Against Pantoja, like when he fought Just as an example, when he fought Matt Chanel made a big mistake. Steve Erceg has fast hands. Matt Chanel's washed. It is what it is. Alexandro Costa isn't that good. Steve Erceg wins. David Dvorak, also not good. Steve Erceg wins, right? Asu Almabayev is at least good, and he at least makes the correct decisions in the grappling. High pace, high level grappling. Kind of worried about the gas tank, not gonna lie, because sometimes it is like, ugh, you know, he's not looking too ready to go, you know. So I could see this being like a who's that brown guy who just fought? Brandon Moreno against Amir Albazi. I could see like that happening, where it's like Asu doesn't shoot a takedown and it's just low IQ, doesn't fight. But I think he'll just get the back end moments, and I think Steve Erceg will make that one mistake that he always makes, and he'll lose a 29-28 here. I think he'll win a round based off being ahead, probably the third, and I think the narrative will be, you know, oh, Steve Erceg was like whooping his ass or something, similar to the Pantoja thing. But in hindsight, it's like, well, he did lose the early 2 rounds, so it is what it is. You know, so I think Asu Almabayev will win 2-1, 29-28. I think it'll be a unanimous decision. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. Those are the early fights that have been confirmed. Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker as the co-main event. Leon Edwards versus JDM as a main event. Asu Almabayev versus Steve Erceg as unknown, probably it's the Apex, so probably a main event. Excited for all these fights. Excited for some finishes, excited for some maybe interesting decisions, and excited to see if I get some early predictions wrong. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I made this video a lot longer than it needed to be, but yeah. With all that being said, I want to thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you have a good day.